Actually, the campaign starts with us. The campaign starts with us. And what I believe is that as we conclude this interaction, we shall have changed our minds towards this kind of learners in our classes. First of all, we shall know how to identify them. Secondly, we shall know how to deal with them. Our topic is curriculum and assessment of this kind of learners and how to interact with them in class. I have been a secondary school teacher for quite some time, but you find that teachers without experience, without this kind of knowledge, will deal with students in a very arrogant and a very harsh way. But after learning that we have different categories of such students in our classes, we surely handle them differently. So that is our topic, and that is our discussion. We want also to look at the type of disabilities. After knowing that we have learners with special needs in our classes, we have those whom we think are normal, but they need special attention in classes. We have those ones with disabilities. We have those who cannot match with the rest of the children or the learners in class. But let us focus more on those kind of disabilities. What are the type of disabilities we know? We have the type of special needs. We have those single disabilities. We have the multiple disabilities, and we have the where we call the others. And John here will help me with the last two, those with cognitive and psychosocial challenges. With the single disabilities, I'm just mentioning a few. You people can identify others. We have those who are deaf, completely deaf. We have those who are blind. We have those who have mental disability. But at the same time, we have those with deaf, blind, deaf with mental disability. And I have personally come across a person with deafness, blind, physical disability. So that one cannot do anything in life. But we are saying as teachers, and even the policy says that that person should or must access education. How do we deal with such a person? So we need to see how these pupils, how the learners access their education with our help. When we talk about cognitive challenges, what do we mean, John?
Challenges, understanding concepts.
Yeah.
And recalling what is learned and applying.
Definitely. Have you heard this definition? Applying, understanding concepts, remembering. Yes. So when we talk about psychosocial issues, we talk about issues concerning the society. Those are forces from the society where we stay. You remember this lady in the newspapers who wanted to get married to Bugembe, that she dreamt. She dreamt that Bugembe should be the husband. Maybe that person is categorized as a person with disability.
She may not be having disability, but she had just a wish to marry.
But those are social problems.
Those are social problems.
Those are social problems. And with Nyanzi, you people are elite, very many of the kind. But medically, they can prove whether she is disabled, special need, or anything. But those are the types we have. That is a simple class setting. Learners with disabilities in a class setting are not the normal class that you people have, but we are saying those learners must access education. And remember, our topic is curriculum and assessment. And those learners are following the exact curriculum with the normal learners, according to Uganda's education system. Yeah, we are using the same curriculum to train those kind of learners. But our topic is curriculum and assessment. How do we deal with curriculum and assessment of such learners? When you look at this girl, when she goes to class, for her, she knows she's supposed to learn behind the door. Do we call that reinforcement?
Wow.
She has to learn behind the door. If she's not there, you will not get anything out of her. And you are a teacher in that class. Just imagine. There is this one here. She has to learn when her hand is held. I mean, she is too active that she cannot stay in one place. But when the teacher holds her hand, she can afford to look aside, but at least in class. Yeah. This one has multiple disabilities, and he's also in class. You are the teacher, and how do you make this person learn something? With us teachers, we say, as you come to class, you don't go back the same. Even a single thing that you have learned means I have taught. So that is how these kind of children are taught. These ones are also in their learning environment. We are teachers. How do we design a curriculum for such learners? And how do we make an assessment to see that these pupils have got a step from where they were when they came to class? So we go to the curriculum planning. And we are saying the kind of students that we have seen are following exactly the same curriculum as the normal students. And when it comes to UNEB, they sit the same examination, and that is assessment. Okay? But what we are saying is this. The curriculum of such pupils should take into account the type and extent of the needs of the child. That is the ideal situation. It should take into account the type and the extent of the needs of the child. Just have this in mind. Sorry. That one. That means you have to customize the curriculum depending on the type of disability and depending on the need of the child. Not all of them need the same kind of training, and not all of them need the same kind of assessment. There is need to deliver a broad and balanced curriculum for such children. What do we mean? The curriculum to deliver must be very interactive. The time that you spend to deliver curriculum to learners with special needs, of course, depending on the type of the special need and the extent of the need, the curriculum must be too broad. For example, as we teach such learners and we have to complete the syllabus in one term, their syllabus ends in 3 or 4 terms. The same that you teach the normal students, theirs ends within the next 3 terms. Teaching little by little depending on what they pick and depending on how they understand. Assessment is part of the planning, teaching, and learning cycle. So we should use evidence of learning. The assessment of such students should be evidence-based. In most cases, even practical. For example, you can give that person a kind of job to do in class, to identify pictures of the same colors and categorize them. So our assessment there is to see whether this child has identified all pictures of the same color in the same group. And that is evidence. She has done it by herself. She or he has done it by herself. No one has helped her and that is evidence-based. We are training, we are assessing, and we can see that this person can do ABCD. Let me give you another example. When you are in a class of such learners, most of them do not have toilet manners. Yeah? They don't have toilet manners. So the kind of assessment that we may give at the end of the term is that this person, Annette or John or anyone, has learned to brush their teeth. That is so much evident and anyone can see. So that is the kind of assessment that we give to them. It has to be evidence. You have to base on evidence and in a range of settings and contexts. You don't have to rely only on theory. You have to extend that curriculum to be broad so that we can, at the end of the day, identify that this learner is best in A, B, C. You give a range of settings, a number of jobs where that person can identify him or herself and do to his or her best. Then there is need to assess learners' progress. There is the kind of assessments that are common to us are formative and summative kind of assessments. But with the special needs learners, we are saying assess progressive. We have progressive assessment, step-by-step assessment, even if it means a daily assessment. To sum up all the results, we can, I think, have a fair treatment compared to the normal students. These are ideal situations. These are not the situations that we use. But we are in a campaign to see that we have a fairer treatment of such learners so that they can also reach the heights that they can. In our classes, we come across such learners, but we cannot identify them. That is number one. And as we identify them, are we giving special attention, special treatment? Because I know you are lecturers. Let me take an example of you having a deaf person in your class. Those people can either learn independently by following what others are doing, or with an interpreter. With an interpreter, it becomes very easy for you to identify that this person does not hear. But without an interpreter, when you have a deaf person in your class, means it will be hard for you to identify that kind of person. And two, these people, the kind of English that they speak is not the English that we mark, but they may have a point in an examination. Are you aware of that? Yes. For example, they can say, me go Kampala. But what the statement means is right. But when it is written in an examination, you will put a red somewhere. How do we identify this kind of people? And how do we assess them? They may follow the same curriculum, right? But the kind of assessment given to them, depending on their abilities. By the way, learners with special needs have greater abilities in some settings. Very far greater abilities than the normal students. Their curriculum and the kind of assessment depends on the assessors. Are we giving it time? Are we giving them extra attention? Special attention, as the name is. Okay. We are saying for effective assessment identifies learners' individual strengths and needs and provides information about learners' progress, as we have. This is a summary of what we've been talking about. Assessment of pupils with special educational needs should identify need and inform decision making as soon as possible. When you identify the need, you definitely identify the next step for that that child, how you are going to help that child in class. Okay. Sorry, I've missed out my question. I wanted to give you one question. I'm going to read it out. We can have groups of 3, and do we have pens?
You said identify the need and what?
So, identify need and inform decision making as soon as possible. You have identified the need of that child, and what next? You don't leave it there.